Good evening, everybody. We are having a messy Monday on Old Gray Bricks. We are down a couple of our regulars. Chris said he was just too tired, so a big "you're lame" to Chris. And Dana is busy. Who knows what Dana's doing?
Herding cats.
I think he's braiding the hair of raccoons right now.
Yeah, he's herding raccoons or something. So, but we've got Jeff. We've got, Magnus has not been around for a bit, so it's good to see Magnus again. And as always, we have Steve and Matthew. So, welcome everybody.
Yeah.
And so it's Monday. It's messy. We're all hanging out. I'm still working on Avengers Tower. I've not been hurrying through this one, so I'm still this is one of the upper floors. That's what I'm doing. But you guys feel free to. I'm going to be totally like not organized and just say talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I was going to ask you. I bought the Avengers Tower. It's sitting in the box in my two build. How are you enjoying the build?
It is a whole lot of building these little frickin' windows. These. There's 10,000 of these on it. So
10,000.
Well, I mean, you know,
so it's your favorite thing.
There's a lot of them.
I mean, at least you had the small ones. The small ones snapping in those windows is a pain. No pun intended.
Yeah, it's as a build, it's not terribly interesting because it's basically building a floor and a bunch of those windows, and then another floor and a bunch of those windows, and so on and so forth. So it's not the most interesting build, but it's once it's together, I'm sure I'll like it more than than the actual individual floors. But,
are there a lot of Easter eggs in it?
Yeah, there's a fair number of Easter eggs. It comes with a bunch of figures, and there's little bits here and there. Like this current floor that I'm working on has a little newspaper that has like who is the Iron Man? Sorry, let me do that. It's got a "Who is the Iron Man" newspaper.
Nice.
Excuse me.
Your experience sounds a lot like the Daily Bugle. I mean, it's also a lot of repetition as you build a Daily Bugle up.
Honestly, I thought the Bugle was better because it has more stuff inside of it.
Fair.
There's more desks and walls and things inside the Bugle to actually build, whereas a lot of the inside of this is kind of the inside of it is sort of empty-ish. It doesn't have like a whole lot inside of it, so
sounds like some people I know.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the actual, like when you watch the movies and stuff, you don't really see a lot in the first place, right? Of the building. Like there's just like the couple of levels where they hang out, and who knows what's in the rest of that building.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's very modern. So on Thursday, I'll tell a little bit of what was going on with me. On Thursday, I was just browsing Marketplace, and I saw someone had a boutique hotel for $125. So I'm like, that's a pretty good deal. I'll check it out. It said like, is this still available? And they said, yep. And in the ad, it said $100 if you take it as is. So they didn't they still had it assembled. So I got it for $100. And they worked third shift. So they're like, when can you pick it up? Because I could leave it in my porch, or I could leave it out when I get home from work at 6 o'clock. I'm like, that's great. That's when I go for work. So ended up risking my life to get this thing because it was pitch black at 6 a.m. And they said that all you have to do, you can just drive up the driveway and go in the side door. So not only was it dark, but I ended up like walking into their house to get the thing. But it all worked out, but it was kind of crazy. Like how is $100 worth risking your life for Lego? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is. But it's already paying dividends. Like I've already used a bunch of pieces from it for what I'm building. I'm finally like back. I've got my mojo back and I'm building again. So that's cool.
It's awesome.
Woohoo! He's got his mojo.
Yay.
Mhm.
I just need 2 green lampposts and we're good to go.
Yeah,
You're
I'm gonna mail a second shipment to you. Whenever someone's supposed to pay me for this Bricklink order, when they pay me, I'll hopefully the next day or two I'll go to the post office. I'll send it to you again. So 2 green lampposts, and then there was the snot brick. What color was that?
Those tan ones, yeah.
2 of those, or
Yeah, 2.
I'm gonna get them before I forget. And you wanted the dark green lamppost?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got 6 of them, and I need 8, and I'm just using black ones right now. But yeah, and it's kind of been like these 2 lampposts have been kind of like halting everything because it's the first floor of the build, and like there they are. Like, and everything is like it's a pain to take everything apart because they're on the first floor, and so.
Oh, so I'm holding up your whole build.
Yeah, but it's not. I'm not blaming you for it. Like
Well.
I don't have. It's like I'm gonna catch 22 because I want to order enough parts to justify the shipping to buy those lampposts. I just haven't built anything because I don't have those lampposts. It's like the snake eating itself.
I was trying to do a cheapie and not mail it as a package. I just put it in a padded envelope, but it probably jammed in some post office sorting machine and probably ripped it and spilled all over the floor. So I'll just send you some more. That's what I get trying to cheat on the postage and send it as a first class envelope.
What am I worth to you? Apparently that's what I'm worth.
Well, I didn't want to charge you a lot of money, so I was like, I'll go cheap on the shipping. It'll get there.
I was gonna buy you a lunch or something at Atlanta anyway. So
a watch. Oh, lunch.
Lunch, not a watch. Maybe like a swatch, but not a watch.
I haven't worn a watch since I was in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a fish tank with 4 fish in it, and they're really pretty small fish. And today we found 6 babies. So 2 of our fish are getting busy. Apparently, we thought we had all males. So I don't know what's going on.
So you're saying something fishy was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom.
It was. It had to be said.
To quote a certain blockbuster movie, life will find a way.
Yeah. Was that Jeff Goldblum?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
You got to say it like Jeff Goldblum. You have to say life finds a way.
Yeah. I finally watched one of his early movies, The Fly, which I had never seen. He was almost unrecognizable to me. Like, he was a young Jeff Goldblum, and he's all like skinny and wiry build, and of course, he's well, I won't give it away, but there's something to do with The Fly. But he physically almost doesn't look at all like the Jeff Goldblum I grew up with.
You could probably spoil that movie. It's been around for like 40 years.
It's all about a fly catcher. But
that's giving it away. But he turned into a fly.
It was interesting. I never saw it. It never like popped up on any of the TBS or TNT. Like, I'm just actually kind of amazed that I never actually saw it at any point.
There's probably a reason for it not showing up on those.
Yeah, it's a little disturbing, I guess.
Yeah. Oh.
What's going on with Magnus up there in the DC metro area?
Hello, I haven't been on the show in a while. I have just moved, and I have a new apartment. I'm living on my own, first time ever.
What?
I've never lived on my own before. I went from my parents into a dorm, and was in the army, and lived in a group house, and lived with a girlfriend, and lived in a group house, and lived with a girlfriend, and I'm on my own again, and never lived on my own, like entirely on my own before. And so for the purposes of this video, I am setting up my new Lego space. That's the important bit. I haven't had a chance to build much recently at all, but I have a new Lego space. So I'm setting it up, and that's the main new thing. I have a 1-bedroom apartment that I have divided the bedroom in half with a couple of bookshelves. So on one side behind me that you cannot see, my bed is there.
Yes.
And when you're in bed, you don't see the Lego. And when you're in the Lego space, you don't see the bed. And I just wanted to be surrounded 360 degrees with Lego, which is kind of what I'm spinning on a chair here.
Ooh. Ah,
So that's kind of what I'm working on here.
It's like the
Nice.
size of my room.
So that's
Yeah, it
that's
must be a
what I got
pretty big
going on.
bedroom. Yes.
It's about I'm gonna say 11 by 16 or so,
It's decent.
maybe a little, maybe 12 by 16, and so I just divided it in half, creating 2 rooms,
Mhm.
and that I thought was the most civilized way to, or I could have had all my Lego in my living room, or I could have used the living room like an efficiency and had my bed there, and instead I decided to do this. So
Do you have all of your Lego in it, or did you have to put a bunch in like storage?
good question. My initial plan was to have my Lego bricks that I usually build with in here, and having Lego on display in the other rooms. But I actually have space for a fair amount of Lego on display here. So like this, you can't see it real well, but like this is all Lego on display, Lego MOCs on display. And then the table here is going to have MOCs on display also. And then this is where I do my building. And then I've got more Lego that I need access to behind me. And then there's all the brick that I don't need access to very often because I rarely take it out, and that is in a separate storage.
Off campus.
So
Cool.
yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
Speaking of Lego that we don't take out every day, I pulled out wagon wheels today because I haven't built many wagons, in a while. Because I'm almost done the farm expansion for my castle, and earlier today I built a grain cart using the wedge
I like that.
pieces to kind of hold a bunch of grain in it.
That's
Oh, that's
clever.
beautiful.
It's totally built upside down. It's tiled on the bottom. You can't really tell, but the rear axle is actually upside down because that was the only way I could use the brackets to hold that wedge in and still have it, make sense. And I'm currently working on a bunch of like 4 other wagons. Added a farm to the one side of my castle. I've got a harbor on the other side, and the harbor has a couple of buildings that are selling goods or that are storing goods, like fruits and vegetables. So I was like, well, it makes sense that there's some commerce between the two now. So I'm trying to build some wagons to kind of transport stuff back and forth.
Can you build a bring out your dead guy for me? Bring out your dead.
Yeah, that's a good one. Huh.
Okay, never mind.
No, I totally understand it. I get it. I'm like, peaceful castle, but maybe. Yeah, the plague hasn't hit us yet.
Sometimes there could still be a plague. I mean,
That's true.
people,
No, I'm just saying, yeah.
people die in peaceful times too. They just don't die from being stabbed and stuff.
I am going to I'm going to Google a photo of that and look it up in a minute.
Those kind of remind me of that because he has like this huge cart that he's got.
Yeah, well, because it's full of dead bodies, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're actors. They're not really dead.
Oh,
you could just use skeletons. You could put a bunch of skeletons in the car.
apparently there was a Nicolas Cage movie called Bringing Out the Dead as well in 1999. Huh.
I mean, Nicolas
was that
Cage-
Monty Python, like the Bring Out the Dead?
Yes.
Was that? Yeah. Okay.
Monty Python.
I'm not quite dead yet.
I remember that.
You're
I do
almost
remember.
dead.
It's been a long time since I've seen those, but I should revisit those. I also, going back to that, I have like a market or I have a storage area in the warehouses and stuff. I've got a bunch of apples on that side of the layout. So I was like, okay, well now I need to have apple trees. So I built an apple tree. This is kind of based on the design of the A-frame cabin trees. Just they're all green. And I ordered like 250 apples from Shop at Home, bestsellers, and they're like a little bit over 40 cents Canadian a piece. So I spent way too much money, but I'm going to get a gift of purchase. So, why not? But yeah, I placed my last order for the castle build because next Wednesday I'm going to be heading out to Toronto to start setting up for our Brick 6 event. So, and Matt will be there. He was as well. So, and the next time it'll be in Atlanta next year too. So,
How long of a drive is that for you?
2 hours.
Not bad.
Yeah, I'm north of Toronto. I'm not that far off.
Were you bringing your castle to Atlanta?
Yeah, that's probably the only. I'll bring my castle and probably the classic space mosaic because people still like taking pictures with that. But that'll be it for that show. This show, I'm bringing a whole my micro build of the downtown Toronto core that I've got. I've got 3 buildings built already for that. And by micro build, I mean one stud is equal to the width of a window type build. So it's not really micro, but it's not minifig scale for sure. But yeah. Beyond that, just making wagons. Making wagons.
That's clever. Like those A-shaped plates, like they're so hard to find a use for sometimes.
When you, I don't know if you've ever seen my castle towers, but my castle towers, I have 4,000 of them in my castle for the towers. So that's where it's kind of funny. It's like, really, I'm going to end up using this piece again for something different.
Yeah.
But I needed something to hold the grain in that would trap it. And so originally I had bars on the side, like on an angle. But then it's like, well, how do I block anything from the back end? Because the grain's just going to slide out. I mean, in real life, they might not have been open because the grain would just like slump down and the weight of it would keep it in place. But, that's not a Lego theory or not how Lego works. Yeah. But yeah, so I ended up pulling that out and then figuring out how to make it work. So yeah, I guess I'm the wedgie guy. No, I'm the A-frame wedge guy. I don't know. We'll stop there.
Doing more harm than good.
Yeah, pretty much. And for anybody that is going to Atlanta BrickCon, I did notice that they posted on Facebook, I think today, a room rate for the hotel that I think is attached directly to the convention center. And it was in the $200+ a night range. That was the discount. So yeah, I'm going to be looking for another hotel somewhere else because I'm not paying that much. That's like Brick World money.
That's way too much.
Yeah. So.
Dang.
Well,
That's like
especially
more
because
than
there's so
money.
many hotels that are so close that it's like, why? I mean, you can go across the parking lot and save $50 a night.
Yeah. Well, I'd seen the Holiday Inn. I think the Holiday Inn was 139. I don't remember if that was Canadian or American. But I'm probably just going to do that. And they're literally just on the other side of the parking garage. So from the event. So it's not that bad of a walk. And it'll be a balmy temperature because it won't be, Toronto or Ontario in the winter.
It would appeal to me if there was some Lego convention that was close to a big camping site where you could just show up with a tent. And you could just sleep in a tent if you wanted to do that, and you could just sleep on the ground in a tent and spend the money you saved on Lego. Or
Sounds like
you could put your tent in Matthew's yard.
But that's not close.
Sure it is.
You could just come down and sleep on my couch.
oh, thank you. Okay.
I mean, I slept on the couch last night after the loud bang in the bathroom, and I couldn't go back to sleep. But anyways, that's a whole nother story.
Oh, jeez.
I forgot a piece.
Did Matt tell us what he was doing?
I have not.
Oh, well, Matt.
So I am boxing up stuff that I'm getting ready to.
Matt, we hardly couldn't hear any of that because of the noise of you moving your phone.
Sorry,
It was
Are
like,
you- Your thumb was probably on the mic.
iPad. So I am getting ready for Bricks and Six, and last week I pulled out the Painted Ladies, which are normally directly above my head in the screen, but they are boxed up. And one of the things I did was, as anyone who's gone to enough Lego conventions knows, there's a certain amount of damage that when you go to trips, and so I had to repair some damage. And while I was at it, I actually went back and tweaked a couple of the Painted Ladies. When I built them, I didn't have a few parts in certain colors, and so the little ball pieces that are on the handrails are now coming more colors, and there's a few slope pieces that I didn't have, so I tweaked it, and I still really like the decisions I made. Sometimes when you come back to an old build, you're like, wow, this is really simple. I could do so much better. But I'm still very happy with how they look, and so I cleaned them up and tidied them up a little bit. And they needed some tender loving care. So got those boxed up and I'm boxing up the rest. I still have to pull the mosaic out this week. I'm going to set it up behind the couch and go through and fill in various dots that pop off in transit. For the most part, they're pretty stable, but it always sheds a couple of dots, typically right where plates meet. That's a pressure point. So sometimes when they're in the car and stuff, like they just pop off. So
do you
that's a little-
do you know which dots fell off and where to put them back?
I have to pull out the spreadsheet.
Oh.
So why it's not as easy. So I had like a 2-color mosaic. I could just
Stop. Sorry.
pop
Go
them
on.
in. And but because it's uses like 30 different, I have to get out the spreadsheet and find each individual dot color to replace the ones that are missing. So it's not an easy, it's not hard, but it just takes time. It's a bit tedious, and I just need to do it because it's definitely shed over the last couple of transports. I haven't repaired it, and so there's definitely spots where there's like a couple 4 dots missing in a row, and so I need to tidy that up. So the other thing that I'm doing right now is I'm pulling out when I bring buildings. It's typically to a Peach Lug show, and as a lug, we have a whole bunch of road plates, and we have vehicles and stuff to populate the road in front of the building. But I'm going to Bricks and the Six, and I'm not doing this as part of the lug. So I'm pulling out cities vehicles just to put in front of my buildings when I set them up. And so got the recycling truck and various vehicles, and I was pulling out minifigs, and like one of the things I've bought these little fun costume figures, and so I've got those of the carrot guy, and I'm building the minifigs just to have this. I went to a parts draft in Austin, Texas, and the set that we had the wheelchairs, and I had an idea to have a wheelchair race going down my street. So I'll have 4 different people in the wheelchairs, and they'll do a wheelchair chase. I need to get come up with a finish line.
You have the bunny guy chasing the carrot guy.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. I try to stick a few just funny things in the windows of buildings because kids tend to notice. So I'll put Yoda in a building or ET or something, and most of the adults are just walking down. The kids would be like, "That's ET." So that's going on, and putting away some parts for part orders. And I went on the first day and bought the Bontanical set. It's still in the box. I won't touch it for a while probably, but I'm going to list my gift with purchase. Honestly, the gate set that came if you bought it isn't anything that's super rare, and I don't necessarily care about keeping it. So if it helps pay for the set, awesome. The other big news was I like my hat. So this is a hat I picked in Canada. The last time I was in Canada earlier this year, which is the Vancouver Canucks. And Vancouver has a very large Asian population. If you get off the airport, one of the things that I did not anticipate is that all the airport announcements are in English and French, which I expected French, but also in Mandarin. So that's just how many people of Chinese ancestry have moved to Vancouver. They actually have the announcements in Chinese, but they also have a large South Asian population. So this is a hat celebrating Diwali, which is a holiday that just happened for Indian and Pakistani people that celebrate that. So they had this on their gift shop, which was the South Asian Diwali kind of artistry and for the Festival of Lights. And so I'm wearing this. One of my good friends, she's from India, from Mumbai, and she approved of this hat. I showed it to her. But I've got my hats. So I have a bunch of hats, and I had them on this cheap hat rack that I bought at Temu, and it was very cheap. Probably almost all of the hats, probably every hat on that rack cost more than the hat rack did. It was that cheap. And at 3 a.m., there was this boom in the master bathroom. And I was just like, what was that? And I said, I don't know. Something fell over in the bathroom. But, I'm not too worried. We can look in the morning. He's like, no, I'm going to look. So he got up, turned the light on. He goes, oh, it's your hat. It's your hat. They're all over the floor. So the little super thin aluminum had bent at a 45-degree angle from the weight. It'd been sitting there for a couple of years, and then the whole thing just toppled off of the countertop. So yeah, that was.
So how many hats?
I was wide awake, and I could not go back to sleep. So I was awake from 3:15 until 6 a.m. I don't recommend it, but sometimes it happens.
How many hats fell?
Well, my husband's not listening, so over 200.
Wow. Is that all of them?
Yeah, how many do you own?
I own about 240.
Wow.
So,
How long have you been collecting?
I mean, I've always been a hat guy. Like, I like baseball hats. I used to wear hats to hockey games when we had a team here. I've always been a hat guy, but I've really only been collecting for the last couple of, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years. And now I'm not so much. It's not so much about the teams, but I'm just looking for interesting colors. I end up buying a lot of minor league teams because they'll do fun and creative things. They'll do like one-offs, so they'll make a hat just for 1 year, and they'll sell it, and then they never make it again. So the options that are out there are so much more diverse than they were even 5 years ago. So especially there's boutique companies. There's this guy, Daniel Liu, who's in San Francisco, who's like a high-end fashion designer and like fashionable trucker hat stuff. Like this, and I'm always like, no, I'm not paying that much money. I do like them. It's still just a trucker hat at the end of the day. I'm not going to pay that much. Yeah, my other hobby. So I shared a picture of all the hats spread out across the floor in the Facebook group called Fitted Hat Society, and people are like, why do you keep your hats in the bathroom? I said, well, that's because there's a lot of space in there. So they were like, doesn't it get steamy? And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's not that kind of bathroom. It's not it's got an open air ceiling, so the steam just keeps going right on up. And it's kind of almost chilly in the winter. So, yeah. But digging out stuff from the convention. So the box to my side here is a box I have opened up, I think, since Brick World Chicago 2 years ago, because I pulled a couple things out. One of the things that I did is I went to a class by Barbara Hull, who Howell, I'm not sure how.
Oh well.
Exactly. And but she taught a class on making flowers. She's very good. If you haven't seen her work on Instagram, I highly recommend it. And so this is something I haven't seen this in 2 years. I was pulling stuff out looking for like brick badges and whatnot. Because the last convention I went to, I got to Austin, Texas, and I left my brick badge, my regular name brick badge at home, and all my other stuff that I usually bring. So I was like, I don't want to forget it this time. And I need to make tchotchkes. What do we call those things?
Tokens? Oh,
No, that's the name though.
the actual name is like a Gugik.
Gugik. I need to make some Gugiks. So my Gugik's going to be the Painted Ladies. Anyways, it's just going to be a row of 6 gray bricks of different colors, and then the gray angle piece that looks like an inverted V for the roofs. So it's just 6 buildings in pastel colors on a 1x6 plate. So if anyone sees my Painted Ladies, then hopefully they'll be like, okay, it's that guy. He left at my build. So I have been late to the Gugik party, but I'm going to.
Are you going to make a limited number? Like, are you going to only have like 10 or 15, or are you just going to make a whole bunch and just give them to anyone that you like?
Probably not more than 12. So yeah, limited number.
Yeah.
I only have so much of the gray roof pieces, and each Gugik will need 6 of those. So that's kind of the ceiling of how many.
I should do that sort of thing for Brick Fair. Little Gugiks.
So at the Austin show, they said, "Do you want a rope barrier in front of your giant mosaic?" And I said, "Actually, I don't. I want people to be able to walk up right to it and look at it up close." And I said, I don't think any kid's going to be able to pull it down. I want people to like get up close, and if they're taking pictures, I don't want that barrier in the photography. So people were leaving Gugiks at the bottom. Like, somebody next door was like gathering Gugiks and said, "I'm not stealing your Gugiks." And he said, apparently some of the kids thought it was a like leave an item, take an item. And they said people were picking. And I said, well, that's what I get for not like staying at my my station the whole.
That's what you get. Where were you? I saw you like a parts draft, and like that was it.
Yeah,
were you even at the convention.
I hung out in the both more stood there and talked for like an hour, 2 hours. But I generally use public day to do a little sightseeing. So probably do that in Toronto. One of the days I'll probably go out and just do some stuff. And my husband Thomas is coming, so he's really excited about going to Toronto. So we'll probably go out and do something. Maybe
yeah, so I would say my sister's coming up on Sunday, so I know you might have been interested in seeing her. So yeah.
And I think if I remember right, the Toronto is like the public. There's like a separate morning block and there's separate afternoon. So
there's 4 blocks. Yeah.
Austin, Texas was the same way. You got like either the morning or the afternoon with your ticket.
And we get an hour off in between, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
We get an actual lunch break. So
we'll see. Honestly, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is seeing other builders. Like, to me, the pre-public days are what it's all about. Like, I like to go up and just mingle, talk to people. And I've met Simon Liu. I know he's going to be there. I know Jeff pretty well, and there's a couple of other folks that I've seen because they've come to Chicago or other shows. But I'm really excited about seeing Steinman. Is that what I think? That's the guy who does the cool looking cube builds on Instagram.
He's going to be at Atlanta.
No, he's going to be at Toronto.
Oh, okay, yeah, Zachary.
So,
is he coming back with Simon Liu? Because I know he was saying there were 2 Simons coming back. Simon was just in Brick in Bavaria in Germany.
Okay.
Or in the German area. I don't know if it's Germany or not.
But,
but he had made a comment about in one of his Instagram posts. He had made a comment about it's a lot of traveling for 2 Simons or something like that. So maybe he's coming back with Simon, because I've never met him either. So I don't think.
I'm trying to pull his account on Instagram right now. So let's see.
For the record, the orange Classic Space torso is back on Bricks and Pieces. It is going out of Bricks and Pieces at some point in this month. I literally placed an order like last week for Bricks and Pieces, and now I'm like, but I've got 4 helmets and I want 4 more torsos, and it's like, oh, really? So yeah,
Got him.
Zachary Steinman, and he does these just like really cool builds.
Oh yeah, okay.
A wall that looks like it's been tunneled through. I mean, just check out his Instagram. It's
Yeah, okay.
his
Yeah.
Instagram is Steinman Zachary, all one word, no dots or any spaces or anything. But just this some like this is a cube where it's been kind of eroded. The outer part, the outer gray part, looks like it's been eroded, and there's a blue cube in the middle.
Yeah.
And he's
I
coming.
like that.
He's just and here's one. The cube is like his trademark. So here's one with cubes with all these pipes. Those are the light gray
Macaroni.
macaroni.
Yeah.
So
He's one of my favorite builders.
I just I'm gonna nerd out and just enjoy seeing whatever he brings because he just does some really fun stuff.
He does a lot of cool, realistic looking stuff too. Not necessarily 1-to-1 scale, but he's got like a folding chair, and he's got some other cool stuff like doors and like just all kind of random stuff like a DJ, not turntable, but like a DJ system. I don't know what they're called, but yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. I got to meet him in Chicago this year. It was really cool. He's awkward, just like I am, but he's a lot cooler than I am. So
You're not that awkward. He's probably more awkward. But that's part of Lego convention. That's the people. I mean, there's a lot of nerds and introverts, and sometimes people on the spectrum and that kind of stuff. And that's just, it's fine. It goes with territory. I like meeting the builders. To me, it's the setup days where you can just go and mingle and like ask people how they did this and that. I mean, when I met Magnus for the first time in person up at the Brick Fair, Virginia, and he was showing me how he used gravity and he had these panels leaning at angles. So he got these like really cool joins where you couldn't just build it. Well, at least it would be really tricky to build it solid, but by like kind of angling and leaning things in, and he worked out, the edge so that when it met, it looked perfect. It looked tailored. It looked really good. And just, being able to see that kind of stuff. And there was another guy up at the Brick World, Brick Fair, who he had a skyscraper and he had the glass panels.
Look amongst yourselves.
So he had like window glass. This is not window glass, but he had window glass, the door glass,
Yep.
turned on its side, and he had them stacked one on top of the other with nothing in between to support them. And I'm like, how in the world did he do that? And he had it going up like 5 feet of these like trans blue glass panes that just kept going up in a continuous row.
Is it the brick with the slot?
He used the rail brick on either side to slot it in. So when he took his building apart, he would push all of the window up just a little bit and then stick a brick so they wouldn't just slip out, so that he could lift off like 5 floors at a time and put it in his support box. And the next time he would just pull that thing out, and then they would all rest on top of each other with gravity. It's just seeing how people pull things off is that's part of what it makes it fun for me, is just to see other people's creativity and their solutions to things that you never would have thought of. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Meeting the public is
good at like taking nice pictures of like detailed pictures of like the WIPs, and this is how I did it. Then you could see some of that from that, but like it's even that is not going to be like someone sitting down with you for like 10 minutes and showing you their mock. That's yeah.
And the other thing you find out when you talk to people is that we tend to see people's finished solutions on things like Instagram. And sometimes you might be under the impression that everyone's just like super smart and they just solved it. But the reality is, when you talk to a lot of builders, they'll be like, yeah, I tried 3 different things before I figured out that this was the better way to handle that. And, just talking about working through, you're trying to get to a certain endpoint, and, you kind of wrestle with it, and you kind of try different things out, that there's this, oftentimes it's a process of iteration, and you're kind of going back and forth and trying things. And then finally you're like, oh, that works better. So
Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best, but they can take a very long time to reach.
Right.
Yeah.
But to me, angling these two buildings is simple now. To me, like I don't know why I didn't think of doing that a month before I started it. Like after a month of trial and error, like it's totally simple to me now. So I mean, maybe it's just all relative.
I mean, but it wasn't at the first, and that's that's like people when I put the mosaic together, builders are always like, okay, how do you get this to stand up? Oh, aluminum rods on the back. Okay. And I'm like, well, it's not my invention. I borrowed that from somebody else, but it's just fun. People are always kind of curious to see, like, how do you bring in a 10-foot long mosaic on an airplane? So like, and they're like, I rolled into Salt Lake and it's in 2 boxes, and a few people like Cody, he'd seen it and he goes, is it really in those 2 boxes? I'm like, yep.
Wait, you flew to Chicago with the mosaic? Or
I
you
drove
flew to-
Chicago. I flew to Salt Lake with it.
Oh, wow.
Imagine like back in history when someone like in ancient England showed someone what a wheel was for the first time, and they were like, "Oh my god, oh wow, that's amazing! My granddad would really have appreciated that when he made Stonehenge with those rollers. They were a pain." But like something like a wheel, it's so it's so simple, but I bet it took a long time for someone to figure that out.
Well, and when the Spanish conquistadors reached Peru, I think that they had never invented the wheel, or they didn't use the wheel. I mean, they had runners who would run and carry knotted ropes because they actually didn't have an alphabet either. They used knotted ropes to communicate. It's just like, it's wild that they had an effective way to communicate that involves no written characters like we use today. We just take that for granted. So
We used to exist without the internet. The world was still turning. It was okay.
Yeah, I remember like you'd get a cell phone to like so people would leave you alone. And like now all I'm getting are like political texts, like 5 texts a day. And I live in Wisconsin, so I'm one of those swing states, so it's like it's ridiculous. Not I don't want to get political here. I'm just saying like
I get those in my email, but I've avoided the texts. Yeah. Most like 1 text a month, maybe.
I was gonna say, Magnus, don't you still have a flip phone though?
No, 3 years ago I got a smartphone.
Okay,
and this is actually my second smartphone because I had a smartphone and it died on me. But it's about 3 years ago that I got my first smartphone.
Gotcha. I wasn't trying to be rude. I was just, well.
That's about as rude as a Canadian can get. I
Yeah,
see.
pretty much. Sorry.
Sorry, he's got to apologize too. Sorry.
100%.
It's like even like Canadians mic drop. They're like, "Oh, sorry, let me pick that up." Didn't mean to damage it.
So I think I was talking earlier about the Atlanta BrickCon and the hotel rates. They've got the Westin Atlanta Hotel, and they've also got the Holiday Inn in the same parking lot. But the interesting thing is the room rate listed for the Holiday Inn is actually like $50 more expensive than the current rate at Holiday Inn. So I'm not sure if that's a misprint or something, but the room rate block isn't set up yet for the Holiday Inn in that parking lot. But I'll do an update next week maybe if I get more info.
So, well, let's get some Old Gray Bricks opinion. This is one version of the Gugget,
Okay.
and this is the other version.
Well,
This
the
one
raised one.
easier to make because there's fewer parts, but
The raised one because I could use more gray plate in my collection. I mean, no. Being sarcastic, of course.
How are you displaying them? Are you displaying them on a slant, like the actual ladies?
The actual painted ladies are on a slanted hillside, so they just each building is like 2 bricks taller than the one next to it, so they are progressively taller.
Mm-hmm.
Than the
I like the slanted one.
Okay.
But I wonder if there's a way to make it even less parts. I don't know yet. Like I don't know how to, but If you could make it with less plates.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of parts.
So
Oh,
there-
Oh, they're both slanted. It's just one's a lot more subtle than the other.
Oh, okay.
one of them is raised every other house, and this one goes up a plate every house. So
I think the shorter one I think is probably good enough. People will realize what it is.
Did you have a
Yeah.
third one? Did you have one that wasn't slanted at all?
You did.
this is
Okay. Thought I was going crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I
Here.
think I don't like as much the one where two houses are sort of on the same level and then two houses on the same level. If you could do like half plate offsets or something, but that's probably a lot.
Ooh, headlight bricks.
That's
I'm trying to make it easier,
Yeah.
harder.
Are the roofs? Do the roofs need to be gray? You couldn't like do them in black or anything to
Well-
make it a little less gray.
I only have this part in quantity.
Yeah.
It's a question of what I have.
I think that the gradual slant would be good.
The medium,
Yeah,
not too fold slant.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's no use like using extra parts. Like it conveys the idea, right?
Jeff's just gonna take it apart anyway. So
Jeff's not going to take it apart. I have all of mine saved over here.
I
Jeff's
only,
not going to get one because Matt knows Jeff.
Jeff
Oh,
already,
Matt, in the instance that your mosaic is near my mosaic,
yeah.
don't kick it over.
Okay,
Have a good day.
very tempting.
I did zip tie it now
You
though.
do it just out of safety. Yes, at the end of the Atlanta BrickCon, was that Atlanta BrickCon? Yeah, I was his mosaic was on an easel next to me, and when I went to take apart my mosaic and I went to pull something, I hit the leg, and his Space Melt mosaic went wobble wobble on the ground and broke into large chunks. And he was very, very gracious. I felt really bad,
I didn't lose any parts.
but I still felt bad about it.
Oh no, I know. And I mean, I was annoyed because it was like, okay, I'm busy. Obviously, you're busy I'm taking apart my castle, and all of a sudden Matt comes over. He's like, Jeff, you might want to come over here because your mosaic's on the floor. And I'm like, wait, what?
Hey, I did say I did it. I didn't try.
Yeah, granted. But since then, I did zip tie it as well because it did break into like it broke along areas that weren't where it normally shouldn't have split. So, but anyways, I was just more making a joke because I know my mosaic will be with other mosaics, so I'm like, okay, the chances of us being side by side are pretty good.
You got to tell Graham, keep him away, keep him away.
Or I'll just take that one apart first. Either way,
Have they put out the floor plan, or when did
no, not yet. But I know the guy who's setting up the floor plan, so we've had a few conversations because he wants to put my castle in an area in the lobby.
Okay.
So like that's not in the actual hall, but we have the whole lobby around the building too. So
Now, Matt, are you keeping your mosaic together after Atlanta?
Yeah, it still needs to go to the west. So
Because I was saying, like, if you weren't going to, Jess could probably like knock it over for you.
revenge.
Get some therapeutic revenge.
it would actually do okay. I mean, when it's up, it's zip tied. The panels are zip tied in multiple directions. It would probably stay together. Honestly, if it got knocked over, I'm not asking for it to be knocked over, but
That sounded like a request, didn't it?
Yeah.
keep it. It's going to hang in the house unless somebody ponies up and buys it. You can have several $1,000s if you want to spend the money.
He will be in Canada, so he did not say U.S. So you can get a deal if you offer to buy it in Canadian dollars.
It'll be 1,000 more Canadian. That's actually, Jeff, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I was in my basement and down where my Bricklink inventory was, and I was like looking around like, well, should I bring anything for the yard sale? I've got to fit it all in the vehicle. And then he had cautioned me about putting price tags on stuff when I crossed the border because I could get hit with tariff. And I thought, well, I could just price it all. And then I thought, oh wait, I have to price Canadian dollars. I'm gonna have to do that adjustment.
Well, and you're also going to have to you have to accept that you're going to have Canadian dollars in your wallet afterwards, right?
Correct. Or if they do PayPal or Venmo, are either of those platforms dominant?
PayPal is. I don't know many people personally that do Venmo here.
Okay.
And I don't know. Like, I also don't know many people that are suave enough to be like that would do that type of stuff. But I mean, PayPal definitely.
Okay.
And we do we have Interac transferring as well, which is just bank to bank transferring, but it's instantaneous. So I mean, a lot of people do that, but obviously they wouldn't be able to do that because you don't have a bank account in Canada. So
Well, we have Zelle, but yeah, since it's international, it might be trickier to.
yeah,
I don't know if Zelle exists up there.
yeah. But thank you for the reminder. I'm currently getting my little swag tags
Yeah.
together too.
Yeah, I'm
What are
looking
you
back.
doing, Jeff, for yours?
Oh, I've had I've got my little VW Bricks, my
Nice.
picture with VW Bricks below it, in case people don't know who I am. But yeah,
Celebrity.
sorry.
People should know who you are. You're a global celebrity. You're famous.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, there are people in Germany that watch our chat, so. Well, I mean, they watch this chat too, so. But, in Scotland and other places too. So it's interesting where people are coming from when they're watching us.
I think I mentioned that when I had a hockey blog, I could see the IP addresses for readers of my blog. I had a reader in Germany who studied at the Max Planck Institute, which is like super sciencey, super cool stuff they do there. And I was dying to know who my one reader was that worked at the Max Planck Institute. I never did figure out who it was. And this day, I'm like, who was that person? You know, were they like a Georgia Tech student who went over there to study, or were they like a European who was following some hockey player that was in Atlanta's system? Maybe somebody who's following like Tobias Enstrom, a Swedish player. Like I never did figure out who it was that was reading my blog. Probably will never know at this point. I should have
They're
just
probably not watching this, so.
I should have just posted like, hey, whoever's from the Max Planck Institute, shoot me a message. But then that person might have been freaked out that I knew where they were.
Yeah.
European privacy laws are a little stiffer than American. Do you ever get that thing where you know you have a bunch of a part, but you can't remember where you put it?
Every day.
Yes.
We all do that.
One by two light gray. I know I've got a whole baggie of them, but
I know I've got 2 kids, but I don't know where they are. Yeah, every day.
I had a bag full of this part, the tri-leaf thingy, which I love, and it comes on a sprue, which is still amazing to this day. And I was searching the house for them. I was searching my Lego room for them. Couldn't figure out where they were, and then I realized on the other side of my castle in my harbor area, I've got a river, and it's got a bunch of plant life in it, and I used them all in there. It's like, but I need to do a pumpkin patch, and I find these are the best leaves for a pumpkin patch. So I ended up ordering a bunch of them on Bricklink the other day, and they luckily came in today. But it's just nice to have something on the sprue again.
Yeah.
Well, you get to a point where you're so spoiled that you have so much Lego,
Yeah.
but you can't find it all, that it's easier to just order more than.
I don't know. I know where they all are. They're all in my layout, so I can't.
Well, they're at least part of a mock you. You know where they are, but like sometimes I'll be like, I know I have that thing, but I just need 6 of them to finish a mock.
Order more.
I don't want to tear apart like my disorganized system.
Yeah.
It's been like
these are
6
luxury problems.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
It's been like 6 weeks since I was building, and right before I stopped building, I reorganized.
Oh, no.
So, like getting back into it this weekend, I didn't know where anything was. I'd probably spend more time looking for parts than actually building. It's kind of frustrating.
Do you guys? This is a silly question, but talking about the sprues, do you keep the sprues?
I haven't had them to keep.
Okay. I even as a kid, like they used the little 1x1 rounds sometimes would come on a sprue back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
There was like 2 of them. So I always kept the pieces because in my mind, there might be a use for those as
And
in
it's
the
still
future.
Lego. Yeah.
The Harry Potter wands came in a sprue for a little while, and I kept those because I was like, that could be like a decoration for a railing or something at some
I've
point.
seen a
right?
mock with those.
Yeah. But
The one by one round plates in trans clear color, in trans colors.
yeah,
They came on that little sprue, and I kept that
Yeah.
sprue, and I used that sprue as like a gem, or like
Yeah.
that I put in a treasure chest, and that's where I kept them.
the gold coins used to come on a sprue as well, and I kept all
Oh,
those because they were gold, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I have a little bit of
You
gold
get
coin.
5 gold coins. Just the middle
Yeah.
one is the biggest. Yeah.
Do you know of
So-
any sellers on Bricklink that is like a sprue a piece? Can you search for those pieces? And
I don't know
just-
that the sprues are listed separately, but I mean they
Could
should
be
be.
people who just sell sprues. That would be
Yeah.
interesting. Someone built a mock focusing on like using up hundreds and thousands of
just got
like
like
sprues.
used sticker sheets and stuff on it.
I just searched sprue and I'm finding all the pieces that are attached to sprues,
Okay,
not the individual ones.
that'd be weird.
The only ones I never kept were the tool sprues with all like they had the 9 tools. Those ones I never kept because I'm like I can't think of a use for a black round circle type thing. But
But if you had 200 of them, you could probably use them for something.
technically in my store I have at least 100 of them in the sprue for sale. Because Janie, I'm selling parts for Janie, Red Brick. Some of you might remember her from the old days. And she had bought them and they came on the sprue. They sell for like $2 or $3 a pop. So, but
You buy pieces, then you don't actually use the piece. You take them all apart, like throw the piece away and use the sprue.
yeah, well, maybe. Interesting. Just seeing if anybody wrote anything interesting in chat. Not that it isn't interesting what's in chat. I'm just, is anyone regular at this point? Oh, that was back at 8:02.
Yeah, it occurred to me like 5 minutes ago, like, oh, we haven't addressed anybody in the chat.
Yeah. And we're still apparently not. No, anyways. Hello, everybody in chat.
A belated hello.
So, what is it, like 100 days now to Atlanta BrickCon?
Oh, don't even do that.
Why?
I'm just
Why
focused
not?
on bricks in the 6. Like, don't give me.
You guys are gonna have to help me after the show set up. To like register for that. I can't figure out that site.
93 days. Till February 5th, which is the Wednesday.
When do you find? Because you guys have been there a bunch. When do you find is like the cutoff time to like the good like I don't know how to explain it. Like
The lower rate for the event? Is that what you mean? Or
yeah, like when do you usually have to have mocks registered by before?
Atlanta BrickCon doesn't really have a like they have a weird registration thing. It's like you just include in your signing up, like this is what I'm going to do, or you email them. Like there's one thing they don't have is their website doesn't have a whole portal for AFOLs.
Right.
There is a display drop down, and when you go into that, it's like please send us a message with your information, and then I think there's an event link or Eventbrite link or something like that. I forget what site it is.
Most of this is all like stuff that happens after you like buy your ticket, basically.
No, so you buy your ticket. So if you go to that display page, you can buy your ticket at brickfanexpo.com type thing. And then there's also a send us a message thing with a name, email, and a brief description of what you're displaying.
Uh-huh.
So like there's a form on the page as well. So I would say buy your ticket, and then as you know what you're going to be bringing, you can send them an email through that form or whatever. They haven't expanded on the AFOL side of the thing, so it for people just registering. It's a little confusing, for sure.
What's the web address? Is it Atlanta BrickCon?
Yeah, AtlantaBrickCon.com. and then there's a display link in the top right. And if you want the hotel info, there's a drop down off of the display for hotels.
We very much like Nick and Amanda who run the show, but sometimes they reinvent the wheel when they kind of don't need to. You know, it's like, and they're starting to do multiple shows in the Southeast. So they have a regular one in Orlando and Charlotte, and like every other year they do a couple in the Carolinas. And you know, I don't know, I don't pay for the stuff, but it would seem like it would make sense to, you know, pay somebody to write code to set up a website where all that kind of stuff could be collected, but that hasn't happened yet.
I mean, you know, like a lot of like I was just like Bricks of the Six type thing. Like they've got a site, but a lot of the communication and stuff is like there's a Discord channel for the event, right? So that's where a lot of the chatter happens and stuff. And it's funny how, you know, you figure conventions would have. I think Brick World Chicago. I think they've got a group, a Discord page too. But you'd think it would make sense to have a place where you can ask questions and stuff to the community and get the answers you need, right?
Yeah.
Especially for newcomers. So
like, I'm on their site right now, and all I can see is to like buy tickets to the public show.
yeah, so there's a display. Like I'm assuming you're on a computer.
Yep.
Yeah. So on the top there's ticket, attraction, guests, and display.
Yep.
If you click on display,
Oh,
then it pulls up the page, and then at the bottom there's buy exhibitor ticket,
gotcha.
and it's the weekend ticket is what they call it, but it's
Okay.
technically not a weekend. It's like
Yeah, because on that page I've actually emailed them about displaying. So
Yeah.
they never gotten back to me. So I don't know. It's just because they thought maybe I was wasting
they
their time.
they
No,
will
that
get
wasn't.
back to you. I find them pretty slow with replying, but I mean, I would say once you've bought your ticket, then maybe just send them a message again saying, hey, you know,
Yeah.
I just registered, type thing, and if you
Yeah,
have questions, you can ask them then.
Yeah, I didn't actually buy a ticket, so I don't know if maybe because I didn't buy a ticket, they were just kind of ignoring me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. It was like months ago that I emailed them too.
Email them again. You know,
It's
If
me
they're not gonna
again.
if they're not responding after a while, I don't think it's rude to sort of send a gentle little prod. Hey, you know,
Yeah.
just following up.
I always tell my students, I'm a PhD. If I forget, I said if I don't reply to your message, it's because I read it and thought about it, and then something else happened and I got squirreled. And I'm like, this
Ooh, shiny.
will not be offended. I know I drop things, and I'm very aware. And I try not to, but it happens. All right, so now have made eight of these, and I think I'm up to 2 more. So I'll have 10 Gigits, Gugits, Geronimos, whatever they're called.
Geronimos, yes. Gugik.
Gugik.
But I've heard, just don't say that around Simon Liu because he'll probably correct you.
Uh-oh.
I guess Gugiks are the official, like, Brick World Brickmaster token.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's why I'm fine with just calling them tokens.
Yeah,
Right.
I call them tokens.
That's what they are. I mean, they're just a token.
Yep.
Token of appreciation. You did a good job. I like what you built.
Go Eiffel.
It is kind of funny. Like I think Dana was saying, somebody needs to do a website where you can say like what your Gugit is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, sometimes it's very obvious. At Brick World, somebody brought an entire Christmas tree decorated with ornaments, and somebody left me a mini Christmas tree.
Not me. It's not me.
Heck was that?
I don't remember, but it was.
Someone's
I'm like, well, clearly it was the Christmas tree people who left this. So
got some gas.
my phone's ringing. It's
Oh,
like,
Matt's phone is vibrating. It's right by the mic, Matt. That's why we're like, what the heck?
oh, okay. Here.
Oh.
Whew.
I suppose it's poor form to like make Gugix out of something you have in high quantity, but you don't particularly want or like. Like if you have 100 Jar Jar figs or something.
The Ericssons were handing out Minecraft figures a few years ago at one of them. They would just put a random Minecraft figure on your display.
Yeah,
So-
there needs to be some kind of token registry site. Because a lot of them are just like, what does this even mean? It's nice to get it, but there's no like, if you don't know who gave it to you, you're kind of like, well, what's the story? What's it mean?
For the record, I've got a few of them. I found a use for the IKEA boxes, but I mean,
There you go.
you know, a little duck with awesome mock written on it. I've got a sheep from someone. Bats. Like the squirrels, the bats, the sheeps. It's like, cool, I got an animal, but I have no idea who it's from.
Right.
Right?
I got a
But-
Duplo. I got a Duplo bunny at rodeo this year.
Okay.
I don't know who it's from.
And I mean,
And
Great
these out.
Duplo.
I love this one, just the 2x4 brick with eyes. It's like,
Uh,
okay, that's just funny. But
And stickers are popular. I've started getting more stickers.
Stickers?
Yeah, I did stickers this past year just because I work at a sign shop, so I could get them for free, and I could design it to be whatever I wanted it to be. So I did like Spider-Man heads since I did a Spider-Man mock. I kind of
with the-
wanted it tied
it was your
together.
face though, right?
What's that?
It was your face though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Those are cool.
So there it is. I've spent most of my evening working on the upper part of Avengers Tower. So landing pad for the tiny Quinjet will go up there. So earlier on they have you build the tiny little Quinjet.
Hmm.
So it fits on the landing pad, and then there's like a little garage door thing, so you can pull it back inside the hangar like that, and then
That's cool.
Speaking of stickers, when I was in Texas, I hid one of my stickers in Jean's Versions Adventures Tower, and she just found it this past week.
That's awesome.
Guess we know who didn't tidy up after her last show.
Well, there's still like 3 of them to find.
Yeah.
I was at her house and I hid like me and some other people hid a bunch of them. So she's found one of 4. So who knows when she'll find the other 3. They're good too. She's gonna have a hard time finding them. Anyway.
Spaceships behind you. Those classic space remakes. From the Galaxy Explorer and the 2 other builds. No, not Mark. I'm confused. I'm sorry.
Rick Nerd. Sticker.
sorry, I didn't hear the first part of what you were asking.
Yeah, I
Mac.
didn't hear it either.
I'm saying I like those spaceships behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I have some 3D printed stands that I bought and mounted the 3 models from the. Then I have the classic one right there below it.
Sealed.
Now remind me, are the 2 smaller ones also remakes of Lego sets?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Like I'm
they
imagining
are-
if
Yeah, they're new versions of the original sets.
they released a sort of a remake, or they released that big Lego castle that was supposed to be sort of the Lionites castle, except it was a completely new, unrelated castle. I had been looking forward to them doing a remake of the Lions Castle, and if they had done that, it would have been fairly easy for them to do remakes of some of those modular wall things too, that they could have easily included with extra instructions, and that would have been an extra reason to buy multiples of the set. And they didn't do that. But those are cool spaceships.
So here's one made by a friend of the show, Moto. And then here's another sticker by Marble Bricks. And then I like this one quite a lot. Everybody needs a cowboy riding a T-Rex. That's and then this one says critical success, amazing mock.
Now, will you put those to anything, or are you just collecting them?
At the moment, I don't have a logical place. I have stickers on my laptop already that are hat related hat companies that I buy
Of
from.
course.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen. Someday I'll figure out like when you get all the brick badges, and after a while you can't have all of the conventions you've gone to on your brick badges. It's too much. And I've seen people like build walls out of the brick badges, or Cody made an entire crown that he could wear on his head.
It's now a belt.
Yeah, I was gonna say a bandolier, wasn't it?
He's got like a big like wrestling belt type
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, okay. I thought he had one across his chest at one of the events. Cody's actually coming to Bricks in the Six too.
Another fighting. I'll have to definitely pack my Bearded Builders Guild.
There you go. I have enough time to grow a beard, right?
Gotta start tomorrow. It's never too late.
Well, it seems like we're sort of winding down, and it's almost 9:15. So I think maybe we should land the plane, as Chris would say. But it's good hanging out with you guys and chatting this evening. And thank you to everybody in the chat for sort of hanging out. We had sort of a low-key episode tonight, just sort of casual hanging out and chit-chat. But always good to see you guys. Magnus, good to see you again. It's been a long time.
It's good to be back. It's good. It's really good to see you all. Like, I'm just seeing all five of us in our Lego realms, and it warms my heart. And it makes me want to come back again. So this has been really good for me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime. Always, the invites usually go out on Mondays, so whenever you see one, please join us, hang out.
We could even one of them to be like, we could talk about medieval military history on
Or G.I. Joe.
Orgia.
But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us, everybody in chat, and we will see you guys next week. So as Chris would say, be awesome, build awesome, be kind to your neighbor, and have fun with Lego, and we'll see you guys next Monday. So good night, everybody.